Hello everyone, welcome to our chemistry channel ChemPhilic. For the previous videos, please go to the description box, the links are given. Today we'll discuss examples and exceptions on metals and non-metals. We have gathered them together so that it is easier to remember. So let's get started. Okay, so here we have listed some physical properties of metal and non-metals and their differences. Metals are usually hard with high density and they have very high melting and boiling point. Whereas non-metals are usually soft with low density and low melting and boiling point. Metals are ductile, that is, we can make wire from metal, whereas non-metals are non-ductile. Metals are malleable, that is, we can make sheet from a metal, but from a non-metal we cannot. Metals are sonorous, that is, if we hammer a metal, we can hear a sound, but from non-metal this is not possible. Metals have a shining metallic luster, whereas non-metals are dull in color. Again, metal is a very good conductor of heat and electricity, whereas non-metals are non-conductor of both heat and electricity. These are the summary of the characteristics of metal and non-metals. Okay, now we'll give few example and exceptions. As I have told you earlier that metals are hard, but there are few examples where metals are soft in nature. Even they can be cut with knife. For example, sodium, potassium and lithium. Again, we know that metals are solid, but there are also few examples where metals are liquid. For example, mercury is liquid at room temperature. We consider 25 degrees Celsius as room temperature. And gallium and cesium are liquid slightly above room temperature. If we keep these two metals like gallium and cesium on our palm, it will melt. Why this happen? Because our body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, which is higher than room temperature, and these two metals, gallium and cesium, they are liquid slightly above room temperature, so they melt on our palm. Okay, then come to the next slide. The first example, see the first one. What is special about bromine? It is found that non-metals are mostly solid or gaseous. There is only one example where non-metal is liquid. This liquid non-metal is bromine. Okay. So the example of liquid non-metal is bromine. Now come to the next example. I have already mentioned that non-metals are soft in nature. But the hardest natural substance which we know, that is diamond, it's a non-metal. This is an allotrope of carbon. So diamond is exceptionally hard as compared to other non-metals. Now come to the third example. I have told earlier that metal have brightness or luster. Non-metals are usually dull and they don't have any luster. But there are few non-metals which show the bright shining. The examples are iodine, graphite and diamond. This graphite and diamond are the allotropes of carbon, which are non-metal, still they have luster. We know that metals are very good conductor of heat. The example of best heat conducting metals are copper and silver. These copper and silver wares are used in heat conducting devices. There are also few exceptions where metals are very poor conductor of heat. The examples are the next one, that is mercury and lead. They are very poor conductor of heat. Okay, now the next slide. There is one example of a metal which is very poor conductor for both heat and electricity. That is tungsten. And one fascinating fact that tungsten has, that is its very high melting point. Its melting point is highest among the known metals. The melting point of tungsten is 3422 degree Celsius. Okay, then next is another exception. We all know that non-metals don't conduct electricity, but there is one exception. Graphite, which is an allotrope of carbon, is a very good conducting element. In fact, graphite is used in many of the electronic devices because of its good conducting property. Come to the next slide. The first one gives the example of most malleable and most ductile metals. The examples are gold and silver. Gold comes first and it followed by silver. That is, if we want to make a very thin sheet or wire, we must use gold. And if we are not using gold, then silver is the next option. The next one is an exception. There are metals which are non-malleable. The example of such kind is zinc. We cannot use zinc to make a thin sheet. The last one is also an exception. We all know that non-metals are non-ductile. That is, we cannot make wire from a non-metal. But carbon fiber is such a non-metal which can be used to make wires. So this is a ductile non-metal. The example is carbon fiber. So this is the end of today's lesson. Hope you have enjoyed the video. If you think this is useful for you, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the bell button to get quick notification. Thank you.